that factory trigger?
Yep.
Wow.
It's a real nice trigger.
I'm digging it.
Nice. CZ75 P-07. Look at that group, dude. 10 yards at night. This one opened up a little bit. A 40 that's that lightweight. It's kind of thick right here, but so is the Glock. I'm going to start out with accuracy on the CZ P-07 Duty, this one in 40 cal. Hey guys, Nutnfancy, pistol, tabletop review. The P-07 has been in the TMP inventory for about a year now, on and off testing. That's generally how every gun will be tested. It will go out on an outing. If I really like the gun, it'll go out on many outings. You'll see lots of video footage on it. This is a gun I really wanted to love, the P-07 Duty. For one, it's super lightweight. What is this sucker? 26.5 ounces. Compares very favorably against another standard of measure here in the Nutnfancy project, and heck, everywhere else that matter, and that is a Glock 22. That's light, and that's light enough to integrate in a lot of different POUs, but let's go back to accuracy. We'll get to that other part here in just a second. Pretty good, I'd say. And in fact, I don't think paper is representing the P-07's accuracy accurately enough. Because in practical shooting, I was able to hit pretty readily with a P-07, which is surprising because it's a reduced length service pistol. Notice, by the way, I did not say compact. Okay, reference my video from whenever, like 2009, compact it ain't, where some people use the terminology of compact to refer to guns like this. I don't think this is really compact. PF9, some of the car guns, the Beretta Nano, the Ruger LC9. Now those are compact, major caliber guns. Major being, minimum being the 9mm. Okay, so here we go. We got 16 yards. This is rested. This is a 40 Smith & Wesson 180 grain HST. That's a federal load. Very pleased with that. That's good accuracy. I think this is it as well. I failed to mark this group, but that's a phenomenal group. 3-shot group, 16 yards, for me at least. Failed to mark that one. I don't know what load that is. PMC FMJ. That's good. PMC ammo usually shoots pretty good out of most of the pistols I shoot. Once in a while I have some disappointments. There's a 2-shot group at that. Shooting a little bit high left, and PMC 40 on that one. This is, did I mark the dates on this? I don't think I did. That's that same load, I think, the jacketed hollow point. Shooting nice. That's a sweet group right there out of the P-07 Duty 40. Blazer aluminum, that's another reference load, more affordable to shoot. And interesting that this opened up some. I don't know if it was me, probably was. Little dispersion there. Another group here. These are all the federal load, HST, jacketed hollow points. Blazer, good group, shooting left. It does have adjustable sights. We'll talk about that in ergonomics here a little bit. This will be the last target. I don't have a ton of targets for you. Probably refreshing, right? PMC load, okay, decent. This is 16 yards. Nutnfancy, why don't you shoot at 25 yards? Basically my eyes. I just don't think I can give you guys a good group to represent the gun, and my eyes don't do it for me at 25 yards. That's why I'm not a great off the bench shooter. Now practically standing IPSC torso I can do better. Decent group. That's I think the same load all the way around. this is a representative. I think I'll end with that one, that's what the gun's capable of. And you could probably get, let me see what would be a good representative group at 25 yards, what I'm thinking. If someone really tried, maybe a little bit bigger than that, 25 yards. That's my overall take on accuracy as we jump midway into the talking points, talking about the CZ P-07 duty model. This is not the first polymer framed CZ pistol I've reviewed. In fact, one of my favorites is its brother, the CZ75 SP01 Phantom. Reviewed very thoroughly here in TMP in 2009. I love the Phantom. It is an excellent gun. It has a long grip and it holds a lot of rounds. Available in 9mm only, but the Phantom is a huge win. And I'll tell you why as we get to track record reliability and stuff along the lines of that. Here's some new models by way of reference as we jump into philosophy of use for the P-07 duty. And it's the P-07, I'll just call it the P-07. This is the one you guys probably would want to hook into if you're running a suppressor. That's new for 2012. I think it's out on the shelves now. Threaded muzzle, and it also has suppressor sights on it, which I failed to mention in my Walther PPQ Special Edition video that it does not. And any gun that is threaded for suppressor, I'm talking pistol, should have those to clear the suppressor. Very nice. I like that OD green. Very cool. Philosophy of use. Would I use this as a concealed carry gun for me? You certainly could. Dimensionally, though, this is a fat gun, dudes. So is the Glock, though, Nutnfancy. Yeah, I know, it is. Where did that 22 go? Well, I've got some others on the table. Here, I'll just throw those out. Walther PPQ. It's not as fat as the C, and I'm kind of jumping ahead to ergonomics, but that's okay, because this drives to whether I would run it as a concealed carry gun. I actually have been running this a lot, the Walther PPQ, as a concealed carry option. You can see all the lint on it. I'm running it in an Uncle Mike's vertical shoulder holster, and it runs well. It is thick, just like I've always said, that it kind of rides out. Someone who's looking will notice that you have a thicker handgun under your shirt if you're a licensed permit carrier. This is thicker still, though, P-07. What did I measure it at? I actually mic'd it out. It's like hang on a second, it's right here. 1.46 inches thick at the levers, the decock levers. Okay, and then about 1.27 inches thick overall. Here's a Glock 22. Again, this is not a super light gun. Narrow gun. Glocks never have been, but they're also not quite as fat as this gun. I'll leave it at that. It's as a concealed carry gun, if you can put up with a width, I think weight-wise it's totally in the ballpark. Lengthwise, the whole plan form of the P-07 duty, in there. Ideally, it's probably an overall gun. So you'd buy the P-07 as perhaps some concealed carry, mostly home defense. I always call it holster guns. Holster guns are service pistols, ones that we'd run in a dedicated, strong side holster. And I think the P-07 would excel at that. Recreationally, that's stuff I've talked about before. I don't know. Perhaps. Vehicle gun, yeah, maybe. End of the world gun, maybe. Could serve in all those roles. But there is a huge asterisk by it that I'm going to get to. You guys will find interest in. Talked about the weight already. 26.5 ounces. That's with a magazine inserted into this 40 caliber P-07. That's a huge win. Again, there's some polymer frame guns, for whatever reason, they just don't get it. Still to this day, they don't get it. They'll make a polymer frame, and yet it weighs around 30 ounces. Again, your standard of reference, not the best, but definitely one of the best, the Glock. Others, XD, XDM, Smith & Wesson M&P series. SIG 2022, P250, I just reviewed that one. All outstanding polymer frame combat, as I call them, handguns. The size is decent, 3.8 inch barrel in the P-07. And that is a hammer forged barrel. I was going crazy there doing her guard duties. Firepower. Firepower is how many rounds does it carry? This is a 40 cal, again P-07, and the magazine holds, what is it, like 12? Yeah, 12 rounds. That's pretty standard for a reduced length 40 cal combat handgun. Pretty standard. I have it on the table here. H&K USP does that as well, right? About 12 rounds plus one. So that's about standard. In 9mm, I think it's 16 plus one for the firepower. Let me make sure I'm telling you right. I think I am. Yep, 16 plus 1 for that. Decent firepower. There's definitely more that beat it, but you're probably going to get a longer grip frame in order to accommodate the firepower. I think firepower is adequate. It's adequate, especially for a 40. 40, by the way, is one of my favorite overall cartridges these days. What? Nutnfancy, we thought you were a 9mm fan. I really am. When it comes to subcompact carry pistols, 9mm really does it for me. Always has. It's so size efficient. It's cost efficient. Stomp, stomp. Cost efficient to practice with, so you can get practiced and good with your handgun. But 40 rocks. I mean, it's, to me, an overall great compromise between rounds capacity and hitting power. I just love 40. Apparently, U.S. law enforcement loves 40 too. Their caliber of choice, and a pretty good service record last time I checked. There you go, that's firepower, nothing remarkable. We talked about accuracy, ergonomics. Lots of great things to say about the P-07 duty on ergonomics. I'm going to start, I guess, at the grip. The grip is outstanding. It is extremely comfortable. And going back to philosophy of use, this might be a good handgun option for females. While it doesn't have interchangeable back straps, I find that the grip accommodates smaller hand sizes pretty good. I had some guests shoot the P-07 here in TMP. They loved it as far as the grip goes. It's a very comfortable grip. It's a 1911, I didn't really measure it, but it seems like a 1911 grip angle. The grip is really well done. It's got excellent stippling that is molded in on the side straps, a little bit on the back. I would never need to put some type of traction material on this pistol. Not never. Because it's just works great. And by the way, the Gen 4 Glocks are that way too. The new Gen 4 Glocks, they finally got the texturing just right. It's not too rough, and it's, there's that word again, purposeful. Great grip, very comfortable. I love the P-07 grip. Mag release, excellent. You can see how it protrudes from the grip frame just enough. It's big, easy to find. It's made of metal. Big, big plus on the P-07. And I also love this, the handguard. Trigger guard. It's perfect. I love it. And by the way, I think the P-07 was kind of, and I may be off on this, I apologize if I am, I think it was kind of developed for the European police market. And then they're like, hey, let's sell this to civilians too. And I don't know if some of these features I'm going over were stipulated by some LE or military customer. I don't know. I'll just talk to them as they turned out. The trigger guard is excellent. It's big. It'll accommodate gloved hands. It's squared off, because if you're crazy like me and rest your finger on the front of the trigger guard, you'll like it. I always like that option, and I don't think having a squared off trigger guard actually diminishes a pistol's ergonomics at all, contrary to popular belief, at least back in the 90s, early 2000s. Excellent. Trigger. They talk about an Omega trigger system. It's not super smooth. I'm sorry, super light. It is very smooth. Safety check. Safe direction. The single action is the real selling point on the Omega. Pulling at about 4.5 pounds single. Everybody who shot it loved it. They're like, wow, that's got a nice trigger on it. Double action, it's about 11 pounds smooth. Not what I said at the beginning. It is smooth. It is somewhat heavy though, but does that surprise you really? Not really. I mean, we'll see that on SIGs, other guns as well. It'll be just about the same. Excellent trigger. Notice that it's made of metal, not polymer, so there's not going to be any flex in that trigger. Yes, I love that. Kind of contrary. Allie, shut up! Contrary to the H&K USP, which I dinged way back when I reviewed it. I don't like that. That's a polymer trigger, and it will flex as you pull it. I don't like that at all. Gosh. She is freaking out. Ripping someone's throat out down there. I'm going to have to pick it up. Hang on a second. I'm back. That's Allie the Mountain Dog doing her watchdog duties here in the Nutnfancy missile silo. Things back to normal now. We were talking about ergonomics, specifically the Omega trigger system. Single action, impressive. 4.5 pounds, crisp, light. It lends itself to good accuracy. Everyone who shot with a single action pull on the P-07 loved it. Something they did not love, especially me, was how hard this magazine is to load. And that's saying something, seeing as how, at least for the last 4 years, I've shot dozens and dozens of combat handguns, loading 40, 45, 9mm, on and on, stuff you see on the camera. This thing is a bugger. You're going to need a loading tool to make it happen to full capacity, unless you just want to kill your thumbs. I don't know why they have to put a spring in there. It's so stiff. It's crazy. Lanyard attachment on the bottom of the P-07 right there. You can see how the magazine interfaces with the bottom of the glass reinforced polymer grip frame. Smooth, it doesn't extend past. Those with small hands will really like that. I'm not aware of any extended magazines, from CZ at least, that fit the P-07, by the way. Forgot to mention that in firepower. There's your hammer. Standard ring type, I like it. You will find an interference right here. When you cock the gun, I often came up here and hit the rear sight. This is kind of an ergonomic miss. I love how they've pushed that rear sight to the back of the slide. Big plus, good job CZ. And I actually find this to be a minor criticism. Some who shot the gun, like I think PFI dude, were criticizing it more. They're like, I don't like that. It's rare that I'm going to cock the gun that way. I'm usually going to go double action to single action transition, like we talked about. But you might find that. I like the ring hammer though, no problems with there. And that brings us to the rear sight. Another ergonomic miss on the sights is these are sharp edges right here. Not just when cocking it, but all the time. You're just probably going to find that. I think it's easy enough to probably sand around those with sandpaper, because these are made out of polymer, just like Glocks are made out of polymer. No big deal there. You can drift it left and right, however you can't change the elevation on the P-07 sights. I think, I might be off on this, that CZ will offer some different sight heights for P-07 if you have a certain load that's just not shooting on. I could be wrong on that. Notice the front sight blade, how that interfaces with the slide on the P-07. I like the scalloping portion of this. It's just cool looking. Makes it easier to insert in the holster, carry. It's just very nice. And that brings us to a huge win on the P-07. That is how low the bore axis is. Didn't measure it, but maybe even a lot lower than a Glock. And those, you can thank the reverse slide rails for that. A CZ characteristic. I think that's most of the stuff on ergonomics for the CZ pistol. Overall feel is excellent. The only miss, well, other than the minor ones I've pointed out already, is the width. It's a chunky, fat pistol right through here on the ambidextrous cocking lever. Even right here it is. It might be made to look more so because it is a shorter pistol. Kind of like along the lines of a Glock 19, P229, 228. And so it may look fatter than it really is. Just keep that in mind. That's ergonomics, field strip, and maintenance. It's not as easy to field strip as pretty much every other gun on this table. Walther PPQ. We talked about the H&K USP. And then the ultra simple Glock. The P-07 is more difficult to field strip than all of those. Okay, and it basically, I'm probably not going to do this on camera because I'll probably dink it up and then I'll have to redo it. I don't want to waste air time, but you're going to push this pin out. Huh, did I say push? I mean knock this pin out. So you're going to like remove the magazine, do your safety check, and then you'll retract the slide to the field strip markings right here. And while you're holding these markings aligned, you're going to push this pin out. And what I do is I just get my little handy dandy polymer hammer and I'll just tap it. Tap, tap, tap. And once that raises out, then you can kind of pull it out. Oh wait, it doesn't pull out that easily, so I'll get Mr. Victorinox Swiss Army knife and I'll go underneath that takedown lever and I'll pull it out. Once you've done that, you're home free. No, it's not a huge deal, but it also is blown away in simplicity and ease by all the other guns I've shown you, SIG included. Field strip is, actually, you know what? I changed my mind. I do want to take it apart, and the reason I'm going to take it apart is because I want to show you something, and it's critical. So I'm going to do just like I said, off camera, align the marks. I'll do it on camera, what the heck. There we go, tap it, raise it out just like that. And I'm going to keep that retracted. Swiss Army knife comes under, and I pop it out. You can do that with your fingers, just easier that way. And then you just slide the rail off like that. Not a huge deal. What I wanted to show you is they almost parkerize the slide, and this is going to get into, I'm going to jump ahead to durability, reliability, track record. They're all going to be the same thing with this P-07. This is where the plot thickens. Speaking of thickening, that's what they do on the slide coating on the P-07. and I had multiple failures to go into battery with this gun. And this is the second gun I tested for the tabletop review. So I have two pistols that were providing data. They both failed to go in the battery. One of them was sent back to CZ USA with a note explaining what was going on. Say, hey, this gun, not jams, not stovepipes, just mostly, if I remember right, failures to go into battery. Sent it back, and then I tested another. That one still had some failures to go into battery. Shot another one, not this pistol, and it also, every once in a while, that's very important to remember, it's just every once in a while it would fail to go into battery with different loads. Usually FMJs, so we weren't even jacketed hollow points. And this is one of the reasons why, and this is why I want to take the gun apart, is because I think they coat this slide with a very rough texturing. On this particular gun, I actually took steel wool to it, and the reason it's burnished so much is because I spent about an hour with 400 grit sandpaper. It might have been 800 grit, I forget. You can see it's polished. I basically polished it with steel wool, and I smoothed it out because I felt like when I retract it, it was very rough, and that was leading to some rough operation of the P-07. Even after doing that, I'm very sad to report that this model as well, or this specimen also, once in a great while will fail to go into battery with all types of loads. Yeah, that sucks. Maybe you should put a stronger recoil spring in it, Nutnfancy. Maybe I shouldn't, because it came from the factory this way. Factory should get it right. This was at the time a new out-of-box P-07. They should get it right. Why do we have to put new factory springs in it? Would it cure it? I don't know. I'm actually very skeptical that it would cure it, because I'm going to be putting this back together when we're talking, because I have a CZ75B in TMP that's had the same problems. Multiple failures to go in the battery, and I did put a stronger recoil spring in that gun, and it didn't help it at all. It's still having problems. So I just really don't know what to tell you. That is the biggest downside of the P-07 as I can see it, at least in this chambering. 40 cal. I talked to my buddy Angus Hobdell there at SHOT Show 2012, and I mentioned that to him. I was like, hey, we got a P-07 in TMP in 40 Smith, and it's not reliable, dude. He's like, well, I recommend you go to the 9 because we've had zero problems with the 9mm P-07. Some guns just run better in different loads. I'm sorry, different chambering. So you might want to take that in consideration. If you get a P-07, you might want to get it in 9. I probably would steer away in its current configuration from a 40, from what I've seen in my own shooting experience, and we're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rounds. Lots of money spent in testing this freaking gun. I don't see that problem with a Glock. I definitely didn't see that problem with the PPQ or any of the other number of high quality guns that I've shot so far. SIG, Smith & Wesson, XDMs, all that. I don't know. It's a shame too, because this gun is so compact and lightweight, and for, again, ergonomically speaking, small-handed shooters, it makes such a good choice. It's lightweight, fits them well. From what I've seen, very accurate, nice trigger on it. It has an accessory rail. It's a great gun, but it's just that nagging concern in the back of my mind about the reliability. I'm going to end the video here in just a minute with that as well, but we got to talk about accessories and versatility. This is another downside, to be honest with you. I've always said here in front of the Nutnfancy Project camera that it is a plus to have an extremely successful handgun design. That's because you're going to have all kinds of accessories you can get for your gun, right? You can change, the trigger out if you want, the sights out. CZ says they make different sights for this. I clicked around and didn't really see them. I probably missed them. Look in the comments. You'll see guys that have this gun. They'll illuminate you if there's some sight options. I don't think there's that many. CZ says they have night sights specifically is what I was referring to. How about holsters? Well, I read somewhere, an XD holster will fit. Well, this is actually an XDM holster. Let's see if it fits. Nope, it doesn't. That's a big trigger guard on the P-07, guys. It's going to need its own holster. You're probably going to have to run something universal, i.e. tactical nylon of some sort. Another downside, it's not super commercially successful. I predict it won't be. I'm sorry, I just don't think this gun's going to take off, especially in its present form, and therefore your holsters are going to be limited. Limited sighting options, like I said. I don't know what else to talk about accessories-wise. Oh, yeah, I do. Magazines. Another downside of the P-07. Just keeping it real. They're expensive. You got to buy them direct from CZ. Very expensive. And they're not readily available in other places because the gun isn't that predominant. not yet. Again, big downside when a gun is not uberly successful commercially. There you go. Value's high on the P-07. I think around 4.25 you can expect to get. It comes with 2 magazines, a cleaning brush, an okay pistol carry case, okay, and it's got those extra parts you want to transition to cocked and lock carry. So I think value's high. In fact, probably lower than most of the other guns I just showed you on the table. Except you got to consider the track record and reliability. Yeah. I read some articles by gun writers, and they said this thing's extremely reliable. I didn't read any negative press anywhere on the P-07, but I'm going to give you some here, and I'm just being deadly honest with you guys because you may bet your life on this pistol. I feel that I could probably, by messing around with it some more, get the P-07 absolutely reliable. But in my mind, why? Why bother? You know, for the money, for the time, which is always limited, it seems, with us, why not go with something that's more proven? I'd go with a PPQ and 40 before I'd go with the P-07. Absolutely. Would I go with an H&K USP? You guys know I kind of am prejudiced against the gun. I've had thousands of rounds shot through it. I just don't like it. I don't like a USP. Now the H&K P30, I like that gun, except the price. The price blows on the H&K P30. It's just outrageous. Like pretty much everything H&K is outrageous. I don't know. I could say that, I guess, on some sick things too. There you go. That's the Nutnfancy tabletop review on the CZ P-07. Mixed bag. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I have lots of things I love about the gun. I love the ergonomics overall. There's a few things that I don't like, but the reliability is nagging for me. I hope this review helped. Thanks for your friendship, your subscribing to TNP. See ya!